survive this war, you'll need two things. First, a basic set of skills. Second, good goddamn sense to do whatever's necessary. I can teach you the first. The second is up to you. When I was younger, I enjoyed watching the Amnesia series more than I enjoyed playing it. I only really started playing Amnesia games long after the first game had already come out. Instead, I was more into watching Markiplier and Jacksepticeye play it right around the time they started.
I will stay! I'll stay! Oh god! Ah! Oh, shut up! Stop with the music! Oh god!
Yes, believe it or not, I'm actually an OG fan of Markiplier. I was an OG Markiplier fan. I was there since the days of Elusis. You remember Elusis, right? That one game that basically is what truly put him on the map. Where's the blacksmith?
Where's the blacksmith?
I've been a fan since back in those days, and I watched him play the Amnesia series. That honestly is what inspired me to become a YouTuber myself, to want to start getting into making gaming content. And I did whatever I could to legitimately try and start getting into it, and my content back then really was not fantastic.
Hello, everybody! This is Ubish.
Remarkable magic abilities.
If anybody were to actually go back that far, you'd be able to tell a stark difference between today and back then. Back then, I was using a potato PC and a Blue Yeti microphone. And believe me, using a Blue Yeti microphone in a camper is not a good idea. Thing hears everything. To me, Amnesia was always one of those, oddly enough, sort of therapeutic games. I was always a big fan of horror, but the topics it would get into would be kind of therapeutic to me for some reason. I really don't have any reason for it to have been therapeutic, but it was kind of therapeutic. For those of you that for some odd reason you have not heard about it, Amnesia the Bunker is the third game in a series of 3, technically 4, but I don't like to count the original second. I don't like to count that game as a part of the core series. That's more like a side thing, in my opinion, since it wasn't made by the same studio.
Why not then simply die in that jungle amongst those dead temples?
It is the third game made by the people that made the original game, thankfully, and it's about a soldier going into war right around the time the Battle of the Song. Right around the time, maybe not exactly. I think it was only about it's set like just a couple of weeks before or after the Battle of Song. I couldn't tell you the exact time, but you are Henri Clement, and your buddy Lambert. I don't know how to. I'm not French. I don't know how to. Let's just call him Bert and Ernie. That'll make it easier. Let's just call him Bert and Ernie. Bert ends up completely tossed out into battle because he won a bad game. They'd be making bets at a table, and it's not smart to begin with. But the bet is the loser has to go out into battle alone, out into the war zone alone. Why? So now they're both out on the battlefield. Ernie goes and finds Bert collapsed in this in a sinkhole caused by the bombs going off around them. And Ernie goes in to help Bert and feeds him this weird glowing water from this sinkhole puddle.
Here, drink this. Then I'm going to get you out of here.
And that wasn't smart. That was not a good idea. That was not a good idea in the slightest. After Ernie goes and looks around, he finds one of his fellow soldiers, Boscan. I don't know what his name was. Let's call him Boss Hog. Boss Hog.
Boss, it's a raid!
Ernie goes and finds Boss Hog basically dying there in the mess hall's pantry area, and he's like, "Take this gun and shoot me because I don't want nothing to do with what's going on here."
That thing, it's coming for me. Here, take this. Finish me off, please. I want to die at the hands of a brother soldier, not that monster.
That is the whole game, basically. You are stuck here with basically a human-sized naked mole rat. Thankfully, it's not actually naked, unlike most of the games that in the last two Amnesia games, where for some reason everybody's giblets just get shown willy-nilly. So I'm just going to jump right into the thick of it and say the monster turns out to be Bert. Bert is the monster. He's now a naked mole man Bert monster, and he's gunning for your ass. This is bad for many reasons. Unfortunately, the guy's not completely totally far gone, because otherwise then you wouldn't have any issue with putting him out of his misery. Turns out there's still a tiny bit of sanity left in Bert. Turns out Bert had a kid, and Bert bought a toy for his kid for when he goes back from the war. I guess that gives us free reign to give a little bit of psychological warfare. Unfortunately, before you ever get to that point, first you have to somehow survive managing to get through this giant maze. Many of the areas are pretty big, and not only that, but pretty annoying to get through. You can't even reach the majority of the bunker. Oddly enough, you're kind of trapped in this one section because there's a lockdown going on. Why? I couldn't tell you, but there's a lockdown. You gotta lift the lockdown. This is where all hell breaks loose. Not only do you have to deal with Bert running around with his naked ass in his tattered, shredded clothes, you also have to deal with the tons of dog-sized rats that are perfectly willing to bite, to tear you to pieces if you dare and get away from their meal. So it turns out the whole reason this thing started was because Ernie was a dumb for having fed Bert the weird glowing goop water. And right around the same time, a bunch of guys in the bunker decided they were going to have a riot. A coup is what they call it, but it was a riot. And as a result, maybe a few people managed to escape through the exit before it blew up, but the exit blew up. And now everybody but you and Bert and your demented captain, who decided to tear his own eyes out for some weird reason. That, and also a prisoner that your guys somehow managed to get their hands on. By the end of the game, after you've managed to get the bolt cutters from the prison that I guess they were using to torture their German prisoner with, and getting the things you need to open the exit, which is your TNT and your ignition lever, which is being guarded basically by your demented captain. You end up in this weird, I don't even know what to call it. It's this weird, like, platforming area. And you have the option to either you have three options. In this situation, the whole place is collapsing around you, and you're given, like, the final boss battle with your buddy Bert. You have three options. You can either A, toss Bert's Bert's bunny toy. You can toss Bert's bunny toy at him. It will distract him, which you can then use an explosive to knock a platform out from under him, or you can do timing, take a little bit of timing, just throw a grenade and also knock a platform under him without tossing the toy, or you can try your best and delay Bert so that you can manage to escape him and actually like get out without dropping one of the bridges out from under him. The first two lead to the same ending. Bert, as far as we're aware, is now dead, or if he's not dead, he'll wish he's dead, and you escape without dealing with him, or you manage to escape and Bert escapes too, only to go out and run out into the battlefield where we don't have any idea what happens to him. But in either endings, we get captured by the Germans. So throughout the game, you learn all this lore from random bits and pieces of like notes scattered around the whole bunker. Some will talk about the fact that the captain was starting to go crazy, especially after the coup went off. Others will talk about how they started hearing noise, howling, scratching against the walls. However, most interesting enough is Ernie's notes. Yes, character you play as has notes.
9th of July, 1700 hours. I'm in a state of agony. It cripples my body, captures my mind, bleeds my... This thing I've done. This thing. It is lunch in the mess hall currently. Ugh, the thought of eating repulses me.
One you can find at his bunk. Another you can find in his locker. I forget where the third one is. Pretty sure there was a third one. It basically talks about how in that bet, Ernie ended up cheating against Bert. He cheated. He rigged the game in his favor. And while it took him a little while for him to realize what he did was not okay, and he started to feel regret. And once he felt regret, he felt like he had to make amends. He had to do something about his actions. He goes out to save Bert. And thus, that's the start of the game. It's all about guilt. Which, honestly, that goes back to the first game. That reminds me of the first game, too. It was like that as well. Anybody can feel apprehensive about ending up like going out into the battlefield alone. I can kind of get it, but still, it was kind of rotten of him to do that. This whole thing started because a bunch of assholes decided while they were in the middle of battle that they were going to revolt against their captain. And then there's the guy who, I guess, had, against his better judgment, sent his basically best friend out into the battlefield alone and regretted his actions and went out there to save him. Because, best friends till the end. An interesting experience. It was an interesting experience playing this game. I might have just ended up playing it in hardcore mode, but for this video, I played throughout the whole game on normal mode, and I only died twice, I think. The whole Amnesia experience, it's still fun despite ending up seeing everybody's giblets for some reason. I'm very happy that they decided not to have Bert have his giblets hanging out too. I'm sure that's probably a criticism that they'd gotten throughout the years. Why are you showing me these people's dank floppy bananas, man? I'm sure it made a lot of people very uncomfortable having to see something like that. But other than that, I really don't have any complaints about Amnesia. I loved the series. One of my most favorite game series all time. And I'm still looking forward to the possibility of hopefully they'll make another game in the future. check out the game for yourself. Play Amnesia the Bunker for yourself. It's a fun game. It's $20 or less on Steam. There you go. Thank you all, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!